And we're live.
That's just not worth it. The quality of life is non-existent there for me, in my opinion. Like first of all, I mean, just being blind sucks. Just being blind would suck. But even if you're like a good-looking blind guy with like no other issues, and somehow you're supporting yourself as a blind man, which seems like a struggle to me. I don't think I want to go on anyway.
No, dude, really? If you were just blind, but you still everything else was normal, you would kill yourself? Like, there are tons of blind people who are that are happy.
What do they do with their fucking day? Like when's the last time they watched The Sopranos? Answer: never. All right? Like, I don't know what they're doing.
Is it just like, I'll see you when you get home from work?
You want to play some cards, kill some time? I mean, maybe put a puzzle together? I mean, you want to watch some old Seinfeld reruns? I mean, you want to go for a drive? I mean, walk?
No,
I
spend most of my days listening to rats skittering around in the wall. Nobody else can hear them, but rest assured I can. It's not upsetting. Yeah.
What do you do if you're blind? What is your fun day? Like, what are you doing today? I'm going to go stagger around the park. Or they tell me it's a park.
Stagger around the park? Blind people probably hate that now when they go to public bathrooms, they can hear the women shitting. Just tore that barrier down.
They make that distinction as a blind person?
Well, I think that they would be able to... I mean, I've seen Daredevil once, 12 years ago. So I think I know how it would work, right? I don't know.
I think it wouldn't work at all because I would kill myself like the first week. Like, I'd do a little research, maybe call some specialists. Like, really never? Never? Not even one of those robot eyes I always see in the movies? I just watched Hardcore Henry. He had one. It was cool. No, definitely not. Like, not anytime soon either. Like, not even in the next decade. Really not even close to that technology. Bang! I can't go on. I want to see things. Seeing things is very important to me. I'd much rather be deaf. At least then you can play video games or watch television.
Technology for that too.
Oh, but you'd suck at video games if you couldn't sound whore.
You know, you pick a different game, right? You pick a different game, and I've seen this really cool representation for a gadget that would work for games like PUBG, and it's like a little ring that sits on your desk flat, and it's got like lights that light up in the direction that sound is being transmitted to you. And I was like, oh man, if I were deaf, like, that might be preferable to sound whoring. Like it definitely won't be as good in some situations, but maybe I see it like it's like that Tyrannosaurus footsteps in Jurassic Park. You hear just like a little doo. Like, oh, well, something's over there. It starts lighting up.
It might be useful for hearing people.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I just think I'd much rather be deaf than blind, and I don't think I'd want to continue living if I were blind. But I would continue living if I were deaf.
The challenge with deafness is you are so out of it. Right? Like, if you're blind, you can still like connect and communicate with other people because that's usually done verbally. But if you're deaf, you were just not in the group. You'd have to exist in the subculture of deaf people.
Also,
that's really... Oh, go ahead, Tucker.
Oh, I was going to say the subculture of my best friend's brother is deaf. Mm-hmm. The subculture of deaf people is so... concrete and set in stone that there's like an incredibly hateful pushback if you do take elective surgery to get yourself partial or full hearing. You know, like, that's so ingrained in their culture.
Oh, that's really sad.
You don't know this?
I mean,
yeah, because deaf people don't view themselves as broken or defective.
Disabled.
You know, they say we're completely fine. We're just like you, but not hearing. There's nothing wrong with me.
We just crossed the street dangerously.
Yeah, so that's just how they do it.
I just never know when the burritos are done.
I would rather be deaf than blind, and I love, you know, music and I all that stuff. I'm sorry, the other way around. I'd rather be
blind than deaf.
You said it right.
No, I'm sorry. I'd rather be able to never hear again than never see again. There's just too much like visual activities, pretty much everything you do ever, that would make that such a big stopgap to cross over versus if you're deaf. Like, yeah, you can still communicate, and that's like a little bit more meaningful.
Yeah, what are blind activities? Clapping in the dark?
That's what I'm getting at, dude. Like you have to be like I don't get it. Like if you're a blind dude, like, you have to be really into getting laid, because I don't know what your other like activities are that you can really enjoy. It needs to like I feel like sex would be almost as good.
Could be better.
It could be better.
I mean, people add blindfolds to sex. That's a thing.
We're also doing like the really ignorant can totally see and can totally hear version of it, where I guarantee people out there listening will be like, no, idiots. Like, most blind people have some level of sight. It's not like just black, and most deaf people can hear some. But yeah, for the purpose of this, people understand we're not nitpicking your disability. We're talking about the pure 100% no sight or no sound.
I'm nitpicking your disability. Hey, all the deaf people who are listening to this, fuck yourself.
I'll sign it at him.
That just came through on some braille. Like, what?
Yeah.
Well, no, I mean,
also, that's the other thing. It's like reading.
This is the sign.
Like, think of all the things you have to relearn if you're blind. Like, you have to learn how to read again. You have to learn how to walk safely, how to eat. Like, everything you do as a core movement has to be relearned. But if you're deaf, the only thing you have to learn how to do is sign and like pay attention without audio.
It also depends.
Senses.
It also depends whether you're stricken deaf or blind, or you're born deaf or blind. Because I think that there's a big difference. Because
if you've had it or never had it,
a person who's like stricken deaf would not be mute. Of course, they would still be able to speak just fine, and they would be able to pick up lip reading very quickly. You would imagine. So that person would be in good shape rather quickly. But a person who's stricken blind, that's the worst. Like at least growing up blind, you becomes your thing, right? You're echolocating like Batman.
You're a burden on society. If
Batman
you're
can't echolocate.
Well, a Batman can though. A half bat, half man. This is an entirely different fictional being that I'm bringing up now.
Maybe Batman.
Would you rather not have sense of touch or taste over like if you had to lose a sense, what's the
taste?
Gotta be smell, right?
It's smell.
It's gotta be smell.
Yeah,
No,
and you hope
taste.
that the smell thing doesn't affect your taste, and often those two
it does.
are linked, though.
It does. So I personally know there's a streamer who has no sense of smell, and very topical story. I was in, it was somebody's birthday, and they rented a house, so we were up there hanging out, and said person who has no sense of smell wakes up in the morning after a long night of drinking and stumbles over to the refrigerator and opens it up and grabs a water bottle and takes a big meaty chug, and it's vodka. It's vodka in the water bottle, and throws up everywhere. And you're like, okay, understandable. You can't smell. They also just don't care really about eating anywhere that's not just an easy place to eat, because they don't have that. Everything's kind of dull. Yeah, the taste. And I never thought about that, but with how much I love food, I don't know if in terms of like your day-to-day life, smell is the best one to lose, but I don't know if I'd want it.
I think it could be a secret benefit almost to lose taste, in that like it would really suck, because you can no longer be like, man, I can never have steak again. I could never have this snack I really enjoy. Cheez-Its forever off the table. But at the same time, it's like now there is nothing in me that says, hey, grab those chips instead of those carrots or broccoli.
All right, then.
Oh, you're right.
Leonard,
Yeah, let me
you've
just
done this before.
blend it up.
Why don't you just go ahead and castrate yourself while you're at it? We'll get all the distractions out of life, and we can just be driven.
Chopping my nuts off.
Purposeful.
I mean, that's totally different, because that's not a sense. It absolutely is. Free to propose otherwise is retardation, sir.
Please, you chop Taylor's nuts off, and he'll be a Democrat. He'll join Antifa. He'll be a soy boy.
You start
I'll get a cool shield and go out there with a baton or a sock with a lock in it. I'll be so
My
hardcore.
Fridays are fun, guys.
Get your ass kicked by some guy with a beard and a plaid shirt for some reason. It's that
It says like tits and guns and beats the shit out of you. Yeah, I think taste is definitely the answer. Get rid of taste, because it's not like no longer being able to fuck, Kyle. That's taking something that's essential for life.
You can eat ass
out.
And it's like the
sex is not
it's the
essential for life.
nastiest
So
ass.
it's essential for procreation. You don't need it to survive.
You don't need it to survive, but you don't need tasty food to survive. I'd rather have full feeling sex than taste the rest of my life, for sure. Because you could turn the taste thing into a positive, is what I'm saying. Like the blind thing, you can overcome it, but you're not going to turn it to a positive. Deaf thing will never become a positive. Taste, you could actually become like a bodybuilder or like the most healthy.
You can just
ever.
drink Soylent all day, every day, and you would be fine, because everything tastes like Soylent at that
or
point.
you could be healthy. And
you get the point. You could just eat whatever you wanted, and it wouldn't matter. That's like the most.
You're neglecting the fact that like you could easily like eat something that's gone bad or some sort of poison or
No, I
or
still have my
something
sense of.
Also, you
of
don't
sight.
completely lose your sense of taste, so it could go the other way, right? It
No,
could
we're
be that
talking about absolutes.
Yeah, this is
Yeah.
magical.
Well,
It's-
we were
it's
losing our
magic.
smell, right? In this, so it only had a
No, we're
mild
losing
impact.
taste.
Okay,
In this magic world, you lose the taste, but you can still smell stuff. You lose the smell, but you can still taste stuff.
Yeah.
All right.
Even though
where I
it
was,
drops it.
where I was gonna head on that is if you lose your smell, you might need to eat the nastiest foods to get any reaction from it. You know, you only want potato chips because of their giant salt, whereas before maybe the intricacies of a taco would be appealing to you.
Yeah.
Or you'd like
maybe
just
eat
eat
durian
cloves of
food.
garlic or like something disgusting.
Right? Yeah.
But like, would that be that bad? I mean, for the people around you, sure. But if you're just munching on cloves of garlic outside of any, I feel like that wouldn't be the worst case scenario here. Versus like if you lost touch and you get lit on fire, like you're gonna die, probably.
There are stories like there's a disorder. I don't know what it's called, but where you don't have a sense of touch, and people or a sense of pain is the way they say it. And people are always like, "Oh, that'd be kind of neat. You're like a superhero." It's like, no. What really happens is you bump your leg and you don't realize you hurt yourself, or the water is boiling hot, or you pick up a pan off the stove, not realizing that you're third-degree burning your hands right now.
I told you guys I had that, right? I mean, I mentioned it
Huh?
before. My left hand. Yeah, so I had this giant tumor. I don't know if you can see the scar. It's there. Anyway, in my ulnar nerve. And what that meant was that I had no feeling, like through these two fingers and this part of my hand. And I was about 17. I was just driving. That's how it happened. Anyway, for a while, like I remember I burnt it. I didn't know I was burning it until I smelled it. I found a thumbtack in it one time. That kind of thing. Yeah, I was just like, oh, the fuck? You know, like, there's a thumbtack in here. It didn't hurt. I just found it. And over time, the nerves reconnected. Now it's still dull, but it's not like it was.
Yeah, that's interesting how the nervous system works like that. My dad had a ruptured disc in his back, and to fix it, it seemed crazy at the time, and I guess it still does because they're still doing it. They just cut the nerve that was making his leg hurt, like the nerve that like ran from his lower back down to his left leg and giving him all the pain. They were just like, well, fuck fixing that disc. If it just didn't hurt, you'd be happy, right? And he's like, well, I guess. And then snippity snip. And so like the left side of his foot was numb for, call it 8 years, or something like that. And he was like, the left side of my foot's numb and it's been numb for 8 years, but I don't have that debilitating, excruciating pain anymore.
Did he lose the ability to operate anything? Like, that was my big issue.
Maybe he can't wiggle his pinky toe. I don't know.
Yeah, well, when that's your pinky, it matters.
Sure. It's definitely different for feet than hands. I was going to say, he wasn't playing pianos with his feet before, so it wasn't that big.
Pinky.
Yeah, I know. People don't know the pinky and the ring finger. That's where you carry heavy things, and this is where you do your dexterous stuff. Like, if you were to think about how you might carry a barbell or a suitcase, you'd do that with your pinky and ring finger. And sucked at that for a while.
I dated somebody who was born without a pinky finger. Like, it looked completely normal. It looked like a Simpson, just like
Mickey
normal.
Mouse.
Yeah, but just didn't have a pinky finger. And I didn't realize like how, I mean, it wasn't debilitating because obviously you have two hands and whatever, but there were quite a few amount of times I was like, hey, can you carry this for me? I just can't because I don't have that extra support there. And I was like, oh, that's what the pinky does. It's like there to
Was this
support all the heavy
a
shit.
girlfriend? Who was this person?
Yeah, it was a girlfriend.
Wow.